in this lesson we'll take a look how Pyro sim works. So I will dive inside, and here you see I have the Pyro, and if I select that and come to Properties tab, you will see here I have 2-dimensional. So if I check that on and go to the first frame, as you see now I have 2D container, and it's very fast when you play the simulation. Okay, so this is great if you want to start creating the base of the effect, because it's very fast. After you are happy with the effect or with the shape, then you can check that off and continue changing the other attributes. Okay, so let's go back to the first frame and play that a little bit. And here you see we have the division method. Leave that at default, and I never change that. Okay, and this is the division size. If you increase this value, your simulation will be faster, but you will lose the details on the smoke as you see here. But if I decrease that, then I will get more detail, but I will need more time to calculate the simulation. So be careful with that. And let's go back here to source volume. This is responsible for creating the smoke from the emitter. So what this node does, brings the information from the emitter, from the sphere object. Okay, so this is the path for the sphere object. So if you clicked here, now you see I am in the sphere object. So that node grabs this null and passes the information to the Pyro solver. So if I select that and come to the sub2 bindings, so what this does, brings the density, temperature, and the velocity from the emitter and assign them to the Pyro solver. Okay, so now let's take a look at some attributes here. So if I select the source volume and come to the activation, if I set this one to 0, and then nothing happens because now the activation is 0. So if I set that to 1, now we have the smoke emission. And here you see I have the scale source volume. This is like scaling the emitter. So if you set this one to 2, you are scaling the emitter by 2. Okay, the more you increase that, the more smoke you will get. Okay, so now I have more smoke. So let's leave that to 1, and this is the temperature. If you increase that, now the smoke will rise faster, as you see. Okay, let's set that to 1. And here, and this is the resize container. So what this does, it's resize the container where the smoke is. So as you see, when the smoke gets bigger, the container gets bigger too, because this makes the simulation faster. And Houdini don't have to calculate all the container if the smoke is in this area. So because my smoke is this area, so now Houdini will calculate this container. And the more you smoke you get, the container will be bigger. And then Houdini will calculate where the smoke is. Okay, so this is a very great way to make the simulation fast. And another thing, if you play it, let's increase the size of the division size, because we want to play the simulation faster. So let's leave it at 0.1. Now it's a little bit faster. So now as you see, at certain point the container will stop growing. Okay, and as you see the smoke going through the container. Okay, and if you want to make the container bigger, just click on the handle tool and select the Pyro node, and now let's make it bigger. And after that, now the resize container will stop growing when it reaches the red box. Okay, So because my red box is here, so now as you see, when I playing, this inside box will grow until it reaches the red box and will stop from growing. So this is very important, and don't forget to select the handle tool to see this box. Okay, and this is the Pyro solver. If I select that, here you see I have the simulation tab. This is the time scale. If you increase that, the simulation will be faster. So this is multiplier for all the values. Okay, and here you see the temperature diffusion. So if I set this one to 5, for example, and now if I hit play, now you will see I have more turbulence. Okay, so let's leave that to 0.2, and this is the cooling rate. If you increase that, now the smoke will cool very early. So for example, if I set that to 5, then the smoke will not affect the temperature of the smoke, will cool and fall down, because as you know, the smoke, when the smoke is cold, it falls down. Okay, and when the smoke is hot, it rises. Okay, so let's leave that to 0.6. Okay, and this is the buoyancy. So of course this one, if you set this one for example to 4 and play, the simulation will go, the smoke will go faster to the up. And this is the direction. If I set this one to 0 and this one to 1, and the smoke will go, let's rewind that, now the smoke will go in this direction. Okay, so you can define the direction by the buoyancy direction here. And if you, as you see here, the smoke is not colliding with the container. Now if I go back here and click on closed boundaries and hit play, now you will see the smoke collides with the container and come back, as you see. Okay, and let's go to the Pyro solver, and if I go to the shape, here you see dissipation. So if I increase this value, the smoke will disappear faster. Okay, so let's set that for example to, as you see now, the smoke is fading very fast. And this is the disturbance, so this will add more details to the smoke. And this is the shredding. This is very useful for creating the fire. You can hover the mouse over any attribute and you will see Houdini will give you a little help here. This is very useful. Okay, and this is the sharpening. This pulls the this makes the smoke wispy and streaky the more you increase that. And this is the turbulence. If you increase that, for example, to 1, now we will have more turbulent smoke, as you see. Okay, let's leave that to 0.1 here. And this is the gravity node. If you disable that, and let's go back and play, now you see we disable the gravity and the smoke is not going up, even if you disable the gravity. But if you go to Pyro solver and in the simulation tab, if you set this one to 1, now the smoke will rise again, even if you disable the gravity. Okay, so that's it for this lesson, guys, and I will see you in the next lesson.